Welcome back. Well, the fintech landscape is rapidly evolving, driven by innovation, shifting regulations, and a growing demand for accessible and inclusive financial services. In 2025, partnerships are more crucial than ever before. Let's get a sense of what to expect for this year now. Joining us is Chibuzo Melaza, head of partnership at PalmPay. Joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so, looking at, we're talking a lot about financial inclusion, so far, and, data from Efina, showing bank penetration. We're seeing Lagos State, is still leading with about over 90% there, 91% penetration. That's the banking penetration by state. We have Ekiti with 77, Sokoto 22. That's data from Efina. So, looking at before now, we're seeing improvements, so far. So talk to me about, some innovation, partnerships, and trends that we can expect, in this space in 2025 for Nigeria.
Oh, thanks a lot for that, right? Like you rightly pointed out, we're beginning to see a lot of innovation around, with the entrance of the fintech, we're beginning to see access to finance. The fintech are being able to demystify payments, financial services, right? Reduce the cost for people to be able to access financial services. However, what we've seen that have driven this in the last 5 years, I will continue to see that going forward, is we've seen banks go above, see that it's more of collaboration rather than competition, right? Before now, a lot of people felt, oh, these fintech guys are going to eat my pie. But it's not about that, really. It's about collaboration. Where you have your strength, right? I probably have my weakness there, and where I have strength, you probably have weaknesses there. So we've seen a lot of collaboration that has led to innovative products. Here, we've seen financial products that has gotten to the last mile. There was a time I traveled from Calabar to Ecom, and within that landmass, right, you don't see any bank, right? But with the fintech coming in to be able to get to each of those smaller businesses, we are beginning to see a lot of those guys have access to financial products without necessarily having to travel back to Calabar to open a bank account. Another thing you see is embedded finance, right? Today we are beginning to see services, right, now offer financial services. Today you're able to go enter a taxi and make payments while in that taxi. You're able to go on e-commerce side. A lot of them are beginning to have wallets to drive financial services. So you continue to see a whole lot of new use cases in embedded finance. Another part you're seeing is with collaboration, right, we're empowering a lot of MSMEs. Today you have small businesses, for example, the use case of the e-com, the Goja places where a lot of those businesses before now were restricted to cash. But today, right, we've empowered them to be able to make extra cash.
And you can't even find the cash even if you're looking for it.
Well, exactly. And then aside that, right, the last thing is we're also seeing open banking, right? And the framework from the central bank, right, also gave more rise and credence to that. So what we're seeing now is different entities are now collaborating and going into partnership to be able to share data. But then you need to get the customer's consent to do that.
I'm talking about strengths and weaknesses. What would you say are the weaknesses of the fintechs?
We'd always look at structure, right? A lot of people will say, oh, I'm looking at those branches, they don't have that, right? But I don't think, we may see that as weakness, but in reality, to be able to get to the last mile, every business is you need to make money, right? So as much as possible, you need to be able to minimize your cost. So while we may look at that as though it's a weakness, but then we are reducing the cost of delivering financial services. And that's why today you can see a lot of the fintechs are able to do transfer for free, because rather than have brick and mortar branches where we've built, we have to employ people, we have to get fuel to drive businesses. We don't need to do that anymore, right? And that's why
I'd really love to see at some point to see most of these companies actually list, on the stock market, so that we can actually see the financials, because I'm sure the OPEX will be so little.
Exactly. We're getting there. I'm sure in the next probably 5 years, you begin to see a lot of them in the capital market. At this time, you still try, you've gotten people that have invested heavily in building the technologies that you have now. So, they need to recoup those investments. But I'm sure within the next 5 years, you'll begin to see a lot of this fintech listed in the public market as well.
Talking about listing, that comes with heavy regulation.
True.
So how's that looking?
In terms of the regulation, right? So what the fintechs have done, right? I'll probably just highlight 4 things. The first is we're seeing new fintechs that started with a license begin to obtain multiple licenses. Just as new products and new innovation coming, right? They need to acquire the relevant license to be able to play in that space. So a lot of them are beginning to acquire licenses to deliver more financial services to the last mile. We're also seeing a lot of them. So aside the licenses, we are seeing a lot of them invest heavily in new technologies to drive security, like the biometric, liveness check, and all of this is centered to ensure that customer data and customer information is protected. We're seeing them also invest in enhance their cyber security and data protection to ensure that data is properly encrypted, right? And in exchange of this data, right, we don't have data breach here and there, and they conform to regular regulation. We're also seeing blockchain also coming in, where you're demystifying, decentralizing payments. So rather than have where you have to send payments straight through and have different servers authorize those transactions, we're having blockchains come in where you decentralizing it to have better uptime, right? And then the last is we're seeing automation, right? People are beginning to automate their compliance framework. Having AI and AI coming to it and machine learning to be able to improve compliance.
Right. And talking about biometrics, I've noticed trying to use some of the fintech apps now. If you're trying to send some irregular amount, then they now tell you to put up your face and maybe move this way and that. And sometimes it gets frustrating, but I guess it's good. Is it improving security?
Well, one thing you want to get is trust. You want to be sure that your money is safe, right? And we keep learning every day. There are new trends to fraud. And the CBN has done fantastically well evolving a lot of the policies that they make. And just to comply with a lot of those policies, you need to deploy new technology. So those liveness check really is to ensure that I see a new pattern. A good example is you probably always send 10,000 naira, and all of a sudden I see 100K. I need to know, is this study that is sending this?
Right.
Okay, let me see your face. And I'm matching your face against other services like the NIMC database, the BVN database. And once I'm able to match that, I know, this is Ladi. I'm not going to have problems around fraud. So it's actually to secure your funds.
But what if Ladi is held at gunpoint and he still has to show his face? Then I guess,
we'll keep learning that.
Or maybe if it sees the gun, then it'll stop the transaction.
Exactly.
All right, very interesting there. So, talk to me about, the kind of partnerships we can see, in 2025 that would actually boost financial inclusion more.
Well, so I don't think it's just 2025
and beyond.
And beyond, right? Yeah. So I think first, certain things will drive those partnerships. We'll see a reduction in cash-based transaction first, right? And that's driven largely by evolving regulatory framework.
Because we did see the CBN fine a couple of banks in December for not making cash available at the ATM.
Exactly. Well, not cash. But how much are they able to take? The state bank also made new regulation with the fintechs as regards withdrawals at agency location, and all of these are geared towards reducing cash-based transaction and cash in your hand, right? So we would see more of those regulations come out, right? Because the CBN continues to learn and improve, but then a lot of those regulations will be centered around consumer protection, data privacy, cyber security, right? And it will drive a lot of partnership that you will see. However, this would then give rise to more collaboration. You'll see more partnership, more innovative products, because we begin to enter new market segments to be able to drive simplified payments in those particular sector, right? We'd also get to see more rise in embedded finance. We begin to see, you want to go to the train, a train station. We begin to see different use cases, right, to be able to make payments seamlessly and efficiently, right? We also get to see rise in open banking, right? A lot of NIBs, for example, are just created a sandbox, but one of the biggest challenge of open banking is the standardization of APIs. So as we go into the new year and the future, we'll begin to see more standardized API. And when we get those standardized API, what it does is it makes it seamless for you to be able to integrate with different partners. I think one other important thing is we also see the increase in the use of AI. I should be able to know, what does Ladi like? I shouldn't just sit down and think that Ladi and Chibuzo like the same thing.
Yeah.
I shouldn't just think that the guy behind does the same thing. I should be able to say, oh, Ladi loves suits. Oh, Ladi, have you seen the suit from XYZ?
Right.
I mean,
like when the phone is listening.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, we can even think that, oh, Ladi, your salary is coming very soon. I know you love to do this. I mean, have you tried out this store? So we begin to see use of AI to be able to deliver bespoke financial services to different persons.
Right.
And that same AI and machine learning would also help curb a lot in terms of fraud protection and all of those things. So
Fantastic.
I mean, we see a lot.
I guess it's the year of AI again.
Yeah,
At this point. Thank you so much. Great having you. Chibuzo Melaz, Head of Partnership at Pompey. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, so there you have it. So much to expect. And talking about expectations, the markets are trading right now. We'll give you a snapshot of what's playing now with most of the markets we track. That's at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated. That's it from me on Business Morning. I hand things over to the Sunrise Daily team.